The rural countryside of Gunma Prefecture, where Yuki was born and raised, was a picturesque land. In the winter, the air would turn crystal clear, bringing the mountain ridges into sharp relief. Back when she commuted an hour and a half by JR train from her family home to a high school in Maebashi City, her eyes were set on a single goal. In the future, I will go to medical school and become a surgeon. Her efforts bore fruit. She was accepted into the medical school of a local university. After graduating, passing through her initial clinical residency and specialized surgical training, she steadily solidified her foothold as a surgical specialist. A surgeon's job was far more grueling than she had imagined. Emergency surgeries in the middle of the night, prolonged operations sometimes lasting over 10 hours, giving up days off for on-call duties, and the crushing pressure of patients' lives and deaths resting on her decisions. Even so, Yuki took pride in wearing the white coat. By the time she obtained her specialist certification, 8 years had already passed since her college graduation. However, immediately after acquiring her qualifications, she secured a position at a public hospital in Tokyo and left Gunma without hesitation. Meanwhile, Kenji, her close boyfriend from her high school days, was walking a different path. The University of Tokyo's Faculty of Law, passing the bar exam, a legal apprenticeship. It was an elite course anyone would acknowledge. Yet Kenji himself was never arrogant. Driven by his dream of one day owning his own law firm, he completely immersed himself in the work right in front of him. The two kept in touch even after entering university, meeting a few times a year in Maebashi or Tokyo to catch up. Amidst their mutual busyness, the time they could meet was short, but the hours they spent together held a meaning far greater than their length. Although there was no explicit confession of love, deep down, they both understood that they were special to each other's lives. However, the reality of the working world was unforgiving. As a surgeon, Yuki began living a life with almost no rest. It was not uncommon for a promised weekend together to vanish due to a sudden surgery. Kenji was also busy with his work, but he had the support of his peers at his law firm, and occasionally even had the leeway to go on trips with them. Among them was a bright and intelligent woman, Saki. Before he realized it, Kenji began to feel a sense of comfort in the time he spent talking with Saki. They would vent to each other about work and exchange stories about the future with a laugh. Before long, his relationship with Yuki gradually grew distant, and in Kenji's heart, Saki's presence slowly expanded. Christmas of the year, Yuki turned 33. Yuki had been looking forward to their annual Christmas date from the bottom of her heart. Even in the midst of her exhausting schedule, she had motivated herself by thinking, just for this day. But right before it, an unexpected message arrived from Kenji. "I can't see you anymore. My feelings have changed." They were short words. There was no reason, no excuse. Yuki read the message over and over in her Tokyo apartment, and eventually placed her phone face down. Her 33rd Christmas became a lonely night, dominated only by white walls and the quiet ticking of a clock. The years she had sacrificed for the sake of her patients to become a doctor. When she realized that this profound loneliness was the result of all that effort, something shattered like glass deep within her chest. A month later, Yuki resigned from the hospital where she worked. Those around her were shocked, but she herself was strangely unfazed. Though she temporarily returned to her family home in Gunma, the void in her heart remained unfilled. It was then that she suddenly remembered her grandmother, who lived in the mountains of Ayama City, Nagano Prefecture. Her grandmother's house was nestled in a quiet place, surrounded by deep forests and terraced rice paddies. Wild vegetables in spring, deep greens in summer, golden rice in autumn, and snow that absorbed all sound in winter. Her grandmother welcomed Yuki without asking a single question, serving her warm tea by the hearth. "You don't need to do anything, just take a good rest," she said. At her grandmother's words, Yuki shed tears for the first time. Time flowed slowly in Ayama. She helped prepare meals, walked mountain paths, and gazed at the stars at night. Freed from the constant tension of holding people's lives in her hands, Yuki began to listen to her own inner voice for the first time. Before being a doctor, as a human being, how do I want to live? The answer didn't come immediately. But in the quietness of the mountains, Yuki was slowly regaining the strength to look forward once again. Through her life in Ayama, Yuki gradually remembered how to relax her shoulders and breathe. Breakfast with her grandmother, watching the sun peek over the mountain ridges in the morning and the fog slowly unraveling. The time that had moved minute by minute in the city flowed here according to the rhythm of the seasons. One such day her grandmother muttered, "Your uncle is going into the mountains today, it seems." Yuki's uncle was a hunter in Ayama. She had memories of meeting him a few times when she was young, but it was their first time having a proper conversation. Appearing in a light truck in the afternoon, her uncle was a man with deep wrinkles carved into his sunburnt face, who never used more words than necessary. "Wanna try going to the mountains?" Saying only that, her uncle deftly loaded the necessary equipment, a gun, a knife, rope, into the truck bed. After a moment of hesitation, Yuki changed into rubber boots and climbed into the passenger seat. Once they entered the mountains, her uncle's movements were surprisingly quiet. He muffled the sound of stepping on the snow, paying close attention to the flow of the wind and the slightest disturbances on the animal trails. Following his back, Yuki was reminded of scenes from surgical operations. Movements without waste, intense concentration, and the absolute resolve to face life. Strangely enough, they perfectly overlapped. Eventually, her uncle stopped. There was the presence of a beast in the distance. The time spent holding their breath felt like an eternity. The dry crack of the trigger being pulled, and the deep silence that followed. Standing before the fallen prey, her uncle silently pressed his hands together in prayer. "Because it's a life I've received." That was all. The butchering was swift, yet never careless. Meat, fur, bones. Almost no part was thrown away. Yuki felt the memory of facing lives she couldn't save in the operating room in the past, and the life she was receiving right here with the exact same weight. On the way back, Yuki quietly asked a question. "Aren't you afraid of taking an animal's life?" Her uncle thought for a moment and answered, keeping his eyes on the road ahead. "I am afraid, but I never treat a life lightly." Those words sank quietly and deeply into Yuki's chest. Back when she worked as a doctor in the city, she might have been bound by rigid concepts of correctness and results. Her uncle's way of life was rooted in nature, not taking too much and cherishing his existence based solely on what he received. That night, dishes made from the prey they had taken during the day lined the dining table at her grandmother's house. Yuki paused her chopsticks, marveling at how the act of receiving life could carry such a profound and grounding sense of reality. After the meal, gazing at the fire in the hearth, Yuki quietly opened her mouth to speak. "Could I get a license too?" Her uncle looked surprised for just a moment and then slowly nodded. "If you are serious, the mountain will answer you." At those words, a sensation she had long forgotten sprouted in Yuki's heart. It was not born of impatience or obligation, but a steadfast will toward a future she was choosing on her own 2 feet. She believed the path she had walked as a doctor was not a waste. But from now on, there was another place for her to face life. Yuki made up her mind to get her hunting license, continuing to gaze steadily into the flickering fire.